Hi, I'm Megan.
And I'm Morgan.
Twins and host of M&M Chat, a monthly podcast that brings together our many commonalities: motherhood, farm life, fitness, chasing our passions, and Go Chat. It is our goal to create a show that is positive, real, and fun.
All right, let's dive into April's podcast episode here. So it's hard to believe that we're already in spring and that summer, warmer weather is here, going to be here before we know it. I'm actually really looking forward to it. I feel like the walks that we've been teased here in the last couple of weeks, like it's just I'm getting motivated for spring and summer weather.
I am too. I feel like when it's nice out and sunny, you just feel better. Those winter blues are gone. Sorry, guys, my voice is all scratchy tonight. So those winter blues are just gone. You feel more motivated to do some spring cleaning. You feel motivated to get outside. I noticed that the yard is going to have to get mowed here soon. So you're just ready to be outdoors and get that fresh air. So I'm looking forward to it also.
Yes. You guys, today we have a fun episode. This one might be a little bit more of a quickie type of episode. We are going to talk about kind of the elephant in the room. We just watched, I'm sure, as most of Iowans in the last few days have been keeping up with March Madness and the championship. And so we have just finished watching the game here this afternoon, and so Megan and I thought it would be fun to break down kind of what it means to be like the GOAT and to be an MVP, or how Iowa basketball has changed the sport of women's basketball, for viewership this year, for the records that Caitlin broke, for the fans and the loyalty of Iowans behind them, and how fun it's been watching this season. Megan and I were just talking about that we've never really been a huge basketball supporter in the way of like watching women's or men's. We would usually go to a men's basketball game a couple times, maybe with my dad. It's something that we've done a few times here and there. And I like to watch them when it's on, but it's not something I'm usually going to like intentionally go find put it on the calendar to go watch. But last year, starting last year, and then this year, I have Tyler said he's never seen me fully invested in a sport like this before. Like, I'm like, we have to be home at this time to watch the game. And I'm sitting there
even tailgate food and
yeah. And I'm on Instagram, what are people saying? What are people posting? So let's break this down, Megan. Why has it been so big the last few years?
I think honestly it's been so big just because it's been very entertaining. It's sad to say that sometimes when teams are not doing the best, like if they're losing quite a bit, or maybe they just don't have a winning season, they don't get as many viewers, which is kind of sad because we should be loyal to them no matter what. For example, like when Iowa football is doing great. They have a ton of viewers. A lot of people go to the game. But then if they have a season that's kind of off and they're not doing as well, it's like the attendance is down. The excitement around it is down. People aren't getting together. So I do think that to have that kind of amount of people viewing it, you have to be entertaining. And they have definitely been entertaining the last 2 years, just with the players working together, the fact that some of the players come from Iowa, so that is in itself we're loyal to them. And I think just the Caitlin Clark effect, she has truly changed women's basketball and shown that women can do amazing things. Like, she broke so many records in the last couple years that I think people have really taken note of that, and they're excited to see that because we don't always hear women in the headlights. So I think in the headlines, not headlights, in the headlines.
So in this series, we are highlighting articles, and I think you're right on, Megan, when you talk about the energy levels and the excitement that they'll bring into the game. So this first article that we're highlighting is from Adweek, and it's called Adweek Podcast, Unpacking the Caitlin Clark Effect. And so it says March Madness is in full swing, and the NCAA Division One superstar Caitlin Clark is the MVP. I heard someone they were doing a prediction of who they thought would win the game, and they were asking another coach. And the coach said this other coach that was in the Final Four that got, I think their team was the one that got beat by South Carolina. She said, she goes, it's Caitlin Clark's award for basketball this season, but she said she thought it was South Carolina's season for winning the championship.
Mm.
And I think this ad week here, they break down the Caitlin Clark effect, and in the middle of the article here, it says, this season, 20-year-old basketball star Caitlin Clark has been making headlines with Iowa Hawkeyes, breaking scoring and attendance records. She also brought mainstream attention to women's college basketball, a sport that's historically eclipsed by its men's counterpart, and it's not just fans taking notice either. Clark is encouraging more brands into the league, Nike, State Farm, Gatorade, all that want to work with her and work with Iowa basketball, and kind of that feel-good, small-town story. And I also feel like what's really important in that paragraph there is that she's breaking records herself, but she's bringing attention to the game as a whole, and it's not just like all about her. Like it's about, like she mentions over and over that she wants her legacy to be about the whole team and how they've made this movement.
I agree with this article too, and what you just said. I think it's the fact that she talks about how she grew up like playing co-ed basketball up until she was like in middle school, and she talks like it's the way that she kind of talks about her past and the way that she brings Iowa into it. I think there's just a lot more people, young kids, wanting to get involved in basketball or watch basketball with their family, and the commercials like the Nike, the State Farm, the Gatorade, those are huge brands. And if they're making commercials over women's basketball, Caitlin Clark included, but also her teammates, then that's going to be really seen like United States wide and even nationwide maybe. And then that's going to expand more. So I think like we would have had all the hype, I think, even if she didn't get those contracts. But I think having those contracts expanded it where everybody started taking note across the United States, and people were getting excited about watching the game and going to it and driving to see her in different states, and not only her but also the team. I think it's big too that she's not just doing it herself. Like she's one of the best assisters and assist her teammates and gets them the ball so that they can get involved too. And I think that's huge on just showing her character.
I think so too. And what I think is amazing is that they made it to the championship last year, and they were one game away from winning it all last year as well. And so even though it's a bummer that they didn't win it again this year, like it's amazing that they beat all of those teams out and made it to the final two. Like that's amazing. Out of all of these schools that are playing in the championship, that they made it down to the bottom two. And like last year, they were in the final drive as well. And so to be able to come back, like be like, okay, let's focus this whole next year. We have some same players. I think they only lost a couple last year, if any. And they're like, let's do that again next year. To have that motivation, like what kind of thing do you think makes them unique or special to be able to have that motivation of like, we were so close, let's do it again? Because it doesn't just start in March with March Madness. Like they had to be working in the summertime, off training schedules, like, and then to be able to do it and as a team work together and not have cattiness or not have cliques. Like, what are your thoughts on how that was possible?
So I know that they lost a couple seniors last year, and so like you said, the fact that they went into this season being like, okay, we have a couple new people in here, how are we going to make this happen again? I think they just relied on themselves as a team, relied on the coaching staff, also relied on the people who were sitting out on the bench and who would get put in. Like, for example, when Molly had to sit out, like other people had to step up and come in and play. And She's been out for like practically all of March, I think. And just the fact that they have become so tight knit. I also
Hmm.
feel like sometimes when you watch college athletes or professional athletes, they start to get like kind of, rough and like, I'm out here to win. Like, this is like the
Have a big
attitude I have
ego.
to have, big ego. Yep. And I feel like this team never got to the point where they had big egos or where they thought they were all that. They really knew it was a team effort. And I think they went into practice every day relying on the fact that they are a team and just knowing that this was like short lived. They talked a lot about how you got to kind of live in the moment and it's like you're only in college for so long. What are you going to do with that? It also makes
Hmm.
people dream bigger, I think,
Yeah.
because they said that if she started taking, like Caitlin started taking threes or Gabby Marshall started taking a three or it just started like everybody else started being a little bit more of a risk taker and even on other teams like that they were playing against and all of a sudden they would start doing more threes and making them and it just kind of built that confidence like within the culture and the atmosphere of the game.
And yeah, made people want to go hit the weight room a little bit harder because maybe if I get a little bit stronger, I can push the ball further and stuff like that. Like, I feel like it kind of encouraged this momentum of like, give it all you have. Like, there
Yeah,
was even on South Carolina, they said that there was a freshman who was playing today that was making a bunch of threes, and she's
she
only a
was,
freshman.
yeah, she was doing good.
What's kind of cool is she had a sibling that played basketball at Iowa State.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so I thought
that
that
is
was kind of
cool.
cool connection. Um, but she was talking about how her players, so like kind of like you said, created a culture across the whole sport because she was saying how even though because like when they were interviewing her, they're like, so you're a freshman, you're on the biggest stage for women's
Hmm.
basketball and college level. How do you not get nervous or feel the pressure? And she goes, my teammates do such a good job of if I miss a 3 pointer or if I mess up somewhere, they come give me a high five and they'll like, it's okay. Like you're a freshman, you're learning, you're growing, and like
Yeah,
you're out here doing amazing things. And they don't point fingers or blame and things like that.
I can definitely see how it can, like in her case, she didn't let it bother her. But if you're a freshman or sophomore playing in that high stress of a game, I could see how it would kind of make you nervous and like deter you a little bit. Like I remember when we were in soccer in high school and we played up sometimes for games on varsity when we were freshmen. And sometimes you just felt like, okay, you're playing up, so you're not as good yet. And so you get in a little bit of your own way and get in your head. And so I thought it was pretty cool how she talked about how like they don't really at that school at South Carolina, it doesn't seem like they pay attention to what grade you are, what level you are. Like if you're a freshman and you're playing great, if you're a senior and you're playing great, like it's based on talent and like you can be playing and starting when you're first starting out in your college career.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I heard Caitlin say in an interview was that they said like all this pressure, like as a college student, like no matter where she goes now, like people are wearing 22 jerseys and there's kids lining up to get autographs and stuff like that. And everything she does is posted to social media. And they're like, how do you take that pressure? And she said, she's like, honestly, when I'm on the court, what I'm more like, she's like, I'm not really thinking about myself. I'm thinking about everyone else, and like, I don't want to let other people down. She's
Yeah.
like, they traveled this far, they paid for their tickets, they want the Iowa experience that we've been giving this year. So she's like, it's not so much pressure of like, how am I gonna do? She's like, I don't want to let other people down. So
Yeah.
I feel like
Which is
that's
definitely hard to do because I mean, just from the sports mentality, sometimes like when it's getting down to the wire and you have a few minutes left, like how do you like it's amazing. It kind of separates people. Like some people go to take that shot or like in basketball, like lay it up, or some people in soccer go to shoot it or in football try to make a touchdown. And some people like exceed on that pressure. Like
mm-hmm.
they do a really good job. They succeed and they make it and like everything's good. And some people just kind of like drop it, like kind of make a mistake get in their own way. And it's like, I also think it takes a lot of mental work and a lot
Mhm.
of personal development because I was that way too. I would like cave under pressure, whereas some people like that is adrenaline and they like succeed.
I'm almost done. Yeah, I feel like that for me too. Like I would always like go out to get like that's why I was a good midfield is because I could get the ball to someone who wouldn't cave under pressure. Like me,
Yeah,
I would get up to the goalie and I would be like, okay, it's just me and the goalie. Like I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Miss. Like I would
yeah,
kick it right to her, or I would kick it over it, or outside of it. And I feel like it does like there was one I don't remember what team she was on. I think she might have been on UConn's team, but there was this player that they showed before the game that was sitting there meditating.
yeah.
And I think people forget about all the like you said the mental work that goes into it too.
Yeah.
And like
And all those fans watching you and like social media is so easy to get access to people now.
yeah, Iowa players were saying they were like the game on Friday night wasn't until 8 p.m. And so a couple of the players got interviewed like, what'd you do today? Like, did you go out and explore? Did you like do team bonding and stuff like that? And they were like, it was such a long day because they had to sit there and think about it all day. They said it was
Yeah,
torture trying to like keep
do
themselves
other
busy.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
If you guys are watching YouTube, Levi's making his presence tonight.
Hi Levi. The other article you guys will have to take a look at is, I don't know, did we read a little bit of this one more in the NCAA website? And that one also talks about Caitlin Clark and her effect and just the fact that she was breaking records and just captivated the country. There's a lot of social media posts in that one, so you guys will have to check that one out also. And
It's just been so fun to watch. Like Megan and I said that we would probably keep this episode a little shorter. And it's just been like I honestly like sometimes I struggle with like wanting to live through other people. Like I look at this team and I'm like I want to get super motivated, get super fit and stuff. Like even with Megan, with you coaching, like it's
yeah,
making me motivated to like I just kind of miss that atmosphere and I sometimes can
yeah.
like live through other players or other things. Like I have a feeling I'll probably do that with the kids when they're showing cattle in the future and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Because it's like you said, that time when you're in that and you're in the moment, it can seem like so much. Like they said that they played like between last year and this year, like how many games did they play? Like
I don't even know.
yeah, it might have been like 100 from last year, like between the
Yeah,
last two
I'll
years,
Google it.
something like that. And how many games they play, and sometimes it can wear you down, and it can be like, is it all worth it? How much effort you're putting into it, and then when you're out of it, you just miss it.
Yeah, yep, I agree. Each year they play 25 to 35 games per season. So then that'd be like from last year 70 games. And it depends on like the tournament and stuff,
And
how
then
far they get.
how far they get, yeah.
That is a lot of games. But like you said, sometimes like athletes, not athletes in general, but just sports. Like it's funny, I bring up sports like sometimes in my classroom for morning meeting, like what's your favorite sport, or do you have like a favorite women athlete for like the day that was like dedicated to women athletes? So like I'll ask questions like that, and it's funny because obviously a handful of my students are really into sports and really into watching Caitlin and with their parents, and um like some of them play softball and are already on club teams for softball.
Hmm.
And so it's so funny, but then you have your classmates that are not into sports at all. Like you mentioned it, and they're like, I don't watch it, I don't care. And so
Yeah.
it is interesting, but usually they're passionate about something different, whether it be music or like acting or doing the plays or doing speech. And so it's just like everything like that you're passionate about, I feel like comes with that community. And I think that's why people really dig into their passions is because of the community that surrounds it. And I just wanted to shout out, like you said, I was coaching this year. Morgan also got her endorsement to coach, so we can both coach soccer at the middle school, and we can coach any sports, but the only one I would ever coach is soccer because that's the only one that I feel like I'm qualified to, just because that's the one we know most about. But I wanted to shout out the girls that I'm coaching this year. They sometimes do check out our podcast, I hear. Who knows? But they were like, when's our next episode? When are you going to post your next episode? And so I was like, you just have to wait and see. I didn't want to tell them dates or anything because if they find it, they find it. But I wanted to shout them out because they asked me to. So,
Well,
all right.
and with that, if you guys are listening to this, you guys have games coming up, and it takes the whole team, and it takes team effort, and it takes camaraderie and like really positive energy. So be that person that's lifting other people up. Like Caitlin always lifts her arm up to like get the fans involved and says like louder, everyone. Like Levi's saying louder right now.
Yeah, definitely be the role model on the field and representing the team well, our school well. And
like even Kate Martin, like they were saying how she's kind of the mom of the group, like she's the motivator and like
yeah,
and so I feel like there's so many different qualities that you can be in part of the team. Like even if you're the manager of the team, like how do you
yeah, what role do you play and what can you bring to the team? Because everyone is important.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let us know on social media what you guys think of this episode, what your thoughts are on just Caitlin Clark, the Iowa women basketball this year, being the GOAT or the MVP. And we just thought it was a fun, timely conversation and something that Morgan and I have been into this season, and last year, which we have never really been before. So we're like, let's talk about it. Let's see why we are so into it and entertained by it. But let us know your thoughts. We would love it if you shared our episode and if you tagged us on social media.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Chat with you next time.
Bye.